So I got a lot of really positive feedback from my previous videos on psychology, and I came up with sort of an idea to incorporate a previous idea of mine into a lesson. So, what I had wanted to do is make a video just of a few babble words that I had heard kids say and such, and the positive feedback I received about my psychology videos made me think that maybe I could do this as a lesson about how kids learn to talk. So I'm going to be pulling out my developmental psychology book for this. This is the 6th edition of The Development of Children by Cynthia Lightfoot, Michael Cole, and Sheila R. Cole. And I've marked a few pages, starting with the first one talking about how, the beginnings of language comprehension and speech. So starting with, babbling and stuff like that, and then eventually moving up to how kids will learn words and eventually grammar. I don't know how far we'll make it in this video today, but I think the focus is mostly going to be on babbling. So, previously in this book, in the textbook, it was referring to how babies learn what's called social referencing. So, social referencing is, for example, is where they, look to the parent, the mom or the dad, to figure out how they should respond to something. So if they see something new, like, for example, the first time a baby sees, a dog, the baby might be a little bit scared and uncertain. So if they might look at their mom, and if the mom seems to be scared of the dog, if it's a really big, really mean-looking dog, and the mom looks scared, then the baby might start to cry. And if, it's a really cute little kind of fluffy dog, or it's, a dog that the mother knows very well, she might go up to it and pet it and smile and, be very happy, and then the baby will be more okay with it. So that sort of one of the earliest ways that children learn to communicate is they learn how to react emotionally to things, and that's how they learn to react to the world around them. And similarly, they learn to, for example, look at and, smile, and, when you're cooing at a baby and they sort of look at you and giggle and smile, and they learn that pretty early on. And as the baby, learns to walk and crawl, it tends to be around the same time that babies will learn to talk. Of course, some will learn walking quicker or talking quicker. I know that my mom always told me that I learned to talk. Talking was easier for me versus for my brother. It took him a while to learn how to talk, but he could walk and run around pretty easily. So it just sort of depends on the person, I guess. And let me see. So kids will, as they learn to talk, it starts out being sort of like a foreign language. And they sort of slowly begin to, recognize certain words. So by 6 months, infants can recognize their own names and, distinguish them from other names, at least other different names. So again, Amy versus Susie. So a baby named Amy would understand that if you said Susie, you weren't talking about her. And they recognize that sort of stuff as early as 4 months. By 6 months, they start to comprehend very familiar words. And there are studies that have shown that it's easy to get a kid to learn a word if it's used in a sentence. So if, let's see, the word cup, if it's used in the sentence, so, well, I guess with the baby's name in it, so here's your cup, Amy, versus here's your cup, then Amy's going to be more likely to learn the word cup. So, they like hearing their names for that reason, because it makes it easier for them to understand what's going on. About 9 months, they start to understand common phrases, as in bye-bye, they wave, or bottle is their bottle. And let's see, they also talk about, okay, here we go, babbling. And babbling is said to very much mimic the language that the child grows up with. So, it starts out with common, da 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 da, ba 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 ba, ma 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 ma, which a lot of people think that is why in most languages the names for the father and the mother are heavily based on these verbalizations. So, daddy, dada, mama, or in a lot of other languages, the father's name might be more along the lines of baba or papa, depending, or grandmothers and other names like that will all be very, very similar. Just because of, it's easy for the baby to pronounce, and it's kind of hard to say, which came first, whether a baby said mama, 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 and then the mother assumed that the baby was talking about her, or whether, the word mama came first, and you know what I mean. But that link is one that I consider to be really interesting. So those sorts of words that are just sort of the vocalizations with the lips that don't involve really the tongue are the easiest to pronounce. So, for example, like the letter T, you have to put the tip of the tongue on the roof of your mouth. You actually have to use your tongue. Or L, or other sort of more complicated words like that. And later on they'll learn to make vocalizations that involve the teeth and the palate and the tongue, and of course when kids are really little they don't have teeth, so it becomes kind of hard to pronounce any sort of, I forgot the phonemes, there we go, that's the phrase, phonemes that involve like the word that. The word that would be very difficult to say without teeth. But what I was going to mention about babbling is about how it tends to be very similar to the language that the child is surrounded in. So, for example, my mom told me that one of the babbles that I would say a lot growing up was abdrigl. It's either abdrigl or abdirgl, and that sounds pretty similar to like various Indian languages. So I don't know if it's abdrigl or abdirgl, but abdirgl to me sounds sort of like birbal, which is a well-known character in Indian history and sort of legend, I guess. The Akbar and Birbal stories. So, abdirgl or abdirgl sounds pretty similar to that, and especially where my family's from, where there's a lot of speaking Konkani and Hindi, and it sounds pretty similar to some of the words that I've heard. So, And given that I was actually fluent or close to it in Konkani until I started school, so it doesn't surprise me that my babbles would sound very similar to Konkani or any other Indian language, versus a friend of mine mentioned that he was told that he would often use the babble, I think it's bamma-bamma, and he is from Sweden, so that sounds more similar to a lot of Swedish phonemes and words. And another kid who grew up with, I don't know if Hindi and Konkani or just one, a family friend of ours would say jaaye-jaaye a lot, just sort of when he's babbling about to himself. So again, that sounds very distinctly Hindi, and I don't remember where I got this one from, but it sort of became a joke among friends of mine. But thope, which I think was a mispronunciation of soap, but thope, 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 thope. And that, well, the babbles thope and abdrigl are the ones that gave me the idea to do a video on babbling, because they both have that sort of cacophony that are similar to other triggering words for, ASMR purposes. So, kind of like how Heather Feather has okay, 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 and kss, 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 and blink, block, and tick-tock, and all that sort of things. What I've noticed is that a lot of those more cacophonous words will trigger. So let me know if it's, especially with abdrigl, it's so much, I guess, so many clashing consonants that I don't know whether that would trigger or if it would be too much. And most of the letters that I've noticed have involved the letter K, the letter S, S's and K's, and that sort of cacophony, so I don't know whether thope, 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 thope would work either. But let me know if abdirgl, 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 abdirgl. I begin stumbling out over my own tongue after a while, but that one's a little bit easier. Okay. So at around 9 months, they start narrowing their babbling sound to be, more similar to words every day. So 9 months to 12 months, around the age when, a kid will look at a dog and go, da! And, they get like, yes, that's a dog. And here, this video, or this, picture up in the corner here. I'll try to bring it, closer. But, it's all the way up there. But it's father and his baby girl engage in a conversation where they take turns vocalizing. So, if you, about that age, is you notice if you spend a lot of time with little kids that you will sort of go back and forth like you're talking with each other, but the kid is just babbling. So they're already starting to understand how conversations work, even though they can't say anything specific just yet. And it makes me wonder, what is the conversation that's going on in their head? What are they trying to tell you? And let's see. So yeah, by 1 year, 12 months, kids are sort of able to comprehend very common phrases like stop and let's go and give me a hug, and this is around the same time that they first start, saying distinguishable words that like mama or eat or daddy or apple or other such words. Okay, here I found this is particularly, let me see if I can bring it closer to you guys, particularly useful chart. So the progress of language development. So at birth, they start out with phoneme perception, so they can, recognize syllables. They can distinguish the difference between language and just, non-language sounds, so like yawning or whistling or, screaming or something like that. And they can, of course, cry. 3 months, they start cooing, just like happy sound when you wiggle your fingers at a baby and they make happy cooing noises in response. So they start doing that. 6 months is around the time that they start babbling, and they lose the ability to discriminate between non-native phonemes. So I'm guessing that means understanding. So there are certain phonemes, and I guess phoneme is just sort of a sound like ba or da, or that's a phoneme essentially. And other languages will sometimes use phonemes that English doesn't use. So, for example, one of the most common ones, or at least around here, Spanish is a fairly well-spoken language. And in Spanish, there's the ñ, which English doesn't have. If there's a ñ sound, it's an N and then a Y after it. Whereas ñ is its own thing in Spanish. I'm not very good at rolling my R's, but rolling your R's, that's its own phoneme. Another example is in Hindi, a lot of letters have I don't know how to explain what the actual word of this is linguistically, but for example, there is a difference between a k and a k. So the biggest difference is if you put your hand in front of your mouth, a k, like we use in English, like in the word like milk or key, you don't feel a puff of air, whereas in Hindi, k, you would feel a puff of air exiting your mouth. So that's a sort of, different phoneme, whereas someone who doesn't, who isn't used to being around Hindi might not be able to tell the difference, whereas someone who grows up in India might. So around 9 months is when they have their first words, and around 12 months they can use these words to attract the adult's attention. So, if they're thirsty, they might say bottle, or I don't know if they can really fully say bottle, because the T's might be difficult, but, or baba, or they might, I don't know, like screaming mama to get mom's attention. Around 18 months is when their vocabulary shoots up and they start having 2-word sentences. So, let me see. There are more examples over here. So, like, baby no eat, or eat that, or sleep now, or something like that. They use two-word sentences, which is called telegraphic speech, and responses to indirect requests. So a yes or no question, they'll actually be able to say yes in response to it. Or, you ask them, do you want pasta or soup? And they'll be able to tell you pasta or want soup or something like that. That will usually increase about 2 years. And then about 30 months, which is about 2.5 years, they start making, indirect requests. So, the example here is, you're standing on my blocks. Modification of speech to take listener into account. So, yeah, again, directly saying, you're standing on my blocks, rather than just saying, get off, or go away. And early awareness of grammatical categories. So this is when they start, actually using proper grammar, as opposed to sentences with only a few words in them. So the example that they have here is for a 21-month-old saying things like, baby no eat dinner, and baby no in night, and no baby sleeping. Baby get sick, Emmy no eat dinner. Broccoli soup cause baby sleeping all night. And then a year later, around, about a little more than 30 months, then she would say, as a matter of fact, it's sleeping with me right now. It's Stephen's koala bear. So she's fully understanding, and not only is her vocabulary more complex, using words like actually and as a matter of fact, she will actually be able to use grammar properly. So, yeah, there you go. That is how language gets developed. There's some pretty cute pictures in here too. So this is a young baby who can't quite use words yet, but he or she can, run up to you and lift their hands up and make vocalizations in an attempt to say, pick me up. And over here, we have a picture of a mother and child having a face-to-face interaction, communicating. I don't think that child would be old enough to learn to actually speak yet, but they understand, the concept of things such as making eye contact when you're communicating with someone, and, you speak, they speak, you speak, that sort of exchange of communication. And, yeah, that's it. So, I hope you guys learned a lot from this. And let me know if you want to do more, if you want me to do more on developmental psychology. I wanted to kind of mix it up a little bit from the past couple videos I did with Myers-Briggs and the stages of ego development. Both fall under the subfield of personality psychology, and I wanted to do something a little bit different, and especially because I've been spending a lot of time with cousins and family lately, I've been thinking a lot about development of kids, and so I kind of wanted to do a video about that, plus the whole babbling thing. And yeah, again, let me know if my attempt at abdrigl. See, I start out saying abdrigl, and I end up saying abdirgl. So let me know if that triggers you, or if you like that, or if you want me to do video with, just that. I've been sort of thinking of doing a video with just sounds or words or something like that, but I need to first know what actually triggers you guys. So the 3 things are, 1 is abdrigl, 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 abdrigl. 2 is abdirgl, 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 which I kind of stumble over my tongue in both of those a little bit. And the 3rd one is thope, 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 thope. So, yeah, let me know between, write this down somewhere. Abdrigl. Oh no, pen running out of ink. 1 second. So that's abdrigl. Then there's abdirgl. And then there's thope. So, just so that there's an actual set spelling for these 3 babbles. Abdrigl, abdirgl, and thope. So yeah, that's it. And I will see you guys next time.